What's up, guys? This is gonna be a video for those that don't know what Dynasty is. Obviously, if you know what Dynasty is, you could still watch this video and learn some stuff. But this is gonna be pretty generic. Obviously, there's videos on YouTube, but I'm just gonna do it as quick as I can and just run through it so you kind of have an idea. And then obviously you can branch out, and I would say using your own YouTube or Google to search some of these questions up to get a better feel on what it is. So first of all, what is Dynasty Fantasy Football? So obviously we love fantasy football. We all played in leagues together. I'm not going to get people that didn't play in leagues together. Majority of us, I would say 75%, probably 80% of this league. I think it's 12 people in the league. And then there's two co-owners. I would say but definitely way more than half the league has played Dynasty before. But I think it was like Rob, Alex, Connor, maybe a couple others that I'm forgetting that hasn't played before. But Dynasty is you keep your team year to year. There's obviously keeper leagues where you keep certain players, but Dynasty, you keep the entire roster. And that's why it's a bigger roster. So usually in a regular league, I guess what do you have, like 8 starters, maybe a kicker, defense, including, maybe not included. Then you have like 6 to 8 bench spots. Maybe you have IR because of like COVID in the last couple of years. Maybe you don't. Dynasty, you do. So Dynasty, with our league, we're doing a 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 3 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 2 flexes, and a super flex. So those that I feel like everyone's familiar with a super flex. Super flex is a normal flex, how you can do have a wide receiver, running back, or tight end. But super flex, you can have a quarterback there too. So that obviously changes the dynamic of fantasy football, because when you have 2 players, 2 quarterbacks, then quarterbacks become a lot more valuable, especially when you're in a 12-man league. 8-man and 10-man's a little different, but when you're in a 12-man league, these quarterbacks are a lot more valuable. But think about it like this. Every team has 2 quarterbacks, right? Let's say if you have 2 quarterbacks starting, that's 24 quarterbacks. Not every team's going to have 3 quarterbacks, because 3 times 12 obviously is 36. So there's going to be 4 teams without another starter. Obviously, there's bye weeks and stuff like that. So sometimes guys won't even have 2 quarterbacks starting in a given week, or someone gets hurt. So that's why these quarterbacks have value. So obviously, there's going to be strategy to it, but that's why I'm going to get into the next thing, startup draft strategy. There's a lot of different ways to do this. Obviously, should I pull up a recent startup? I don't have a recent startup. So I would say go on YouTube. I would probably say, because if you like, let me go on YouTube real quick. You can just search in Dynasty Fantasy Football Startup, right? And there's plenty of videos. I would go to recent ones. Flock is good. Fantasy Stock Exchange is good. Obviously, don't go a year ago. You can even go here, but I would try to get guys. There's videos where there's like mock drafts with like 12 people. So it's like not the computer, it's real people. Obviously, you can do mock drafts on the app. Like you can go on, let's look here. But the rankings are all subjective, and that's what I'm going to get into now. But now I'm going to get into the next thing, which is, I mean, it's the same kind of thing where it goes to startup draft strategies. So you get to build your team the way you like it, and you get to go and get after your guys. Me per se, I usually like to start with a quarterback, especially because I'm not going to give away my strategy, but I'm in the top 4. Usually you get a top tier quarterback there. Let's say I was 1, I want to go Jefferson. Obviously it's a two quarterback league, basically. We go with Patrick Mahomes. Why would you want to do that? Well, it's because quarterbacks have the longest shelf life. A guy like, let's say a couple years ago, like Todd Gurley or David Johnson or Le'Veon Bell, highly sought after fantasy players, right? If you took him 1 over a guy even a couple years ago, like in 2016, like Tom Brady or Rodgers, think about how dumb it is, because you only would have had them for a couple of years. Tom Brady, you would have had until this year. And Rodgers, you would still have all the way. And Rodgers was probably the number 1 quarterback. I can't really think who was the number 1 quarterback back then, but even when he was 30 years old, he was still the number 1 quarterback probably back then. And now, obviously, he's not a top asset, but he's still going to have a good fantasy season the next couple of years with Jets. So you could start with 2 quarterbacks. You could start with a quarterback, but I like to build the core. If you go with a wide receiver like Jefferson and Chase, obviously, great idea too. If you go with a running back like Bijan Robinson, really good idea too. You can build your team the way you like it. But I would look at mock drafts to see where these guys are going. Obviously, in the sleeper thing, there is rankings, but these rankings are flawed, because it's not like redraft where it's like, okay, well, we know that McCaffrey is the first running back. We know that Jefferson or Chase is the first wide receiver. We know that Kelsey is the first tight end. Obviously, when age comes to a factor, there's different things. A lot of people like to chase after youth. Some people like to go a mix of both, and that's what goes into the strategy. So first off, there's the youth strategy. You could start out your draft. Let's just say me. I'm just looking at ADP, so I can think of guys off the top of my head. Let's go Burrow. Let's say come back, somehow get one of Watson, A-Rich, or Amon-Ra, and they're still young, and then get Olave or Gibbs or Bryce Young or something like that. When you start young, you could either go for a rebuild, which means like, so how this dynasty is, it's kind of similar to being a GM. So you can really get to control your team when it comes to the build of it, but you need to be able to hold on to your picks to really do that, because then you kind of go after direction. So that goes into the next thing, which is the subsequent rookie draft, right? So we actually have a rookie draft example, so I'll go to it. And I'm sorry if this is too overwhelming, and if you want to call me, and if you don't understand this, because I'm going a little fast, but I'm doing this for a reason, because obviously I want to do this fast. I don't want to have a 40-minute video. So this was the rookie draft from we're in a 10-man league. A lot of the kids in our league are in this. So this is what's called a rookie draft, right? But see here. So how it works, the order of the draft is based on the teams that don't make it is a lottery. So in a 10-man league, 4 teams don't make it. So we did a lottery, and all the lottery odds are explained. I think it's 50% for the first team, 25 for the second team, 20 for the third, no, 15 for the third, and then 10 for the fourth, as to getting the number 1 pick. So these rookie picks are so sought after and worth a lot, because you're getting a beast. So think about it like this. Bijan Robinson, right? He went at the 1-1 in the rookie draft. Bijan's going at the end of the first in a startup draft. So he's worth a lot. Like he's worth, and you're going to learn like pick value and what players are worth what. Like Mahomes, in my opinion, is worth like 5 to 6 first-round picks. I know that's a lot, but you're getting Mahomes. Chase Jefferson's 4 to 5. Then you move down the first round. It's kind of like 3 first-round picks. You go to like the second round of the startup draft. Guys are kind of worth like 2 first-round picks. Then it's kind of worth early first, mid first, late first, second. Like obviously, it's like exponentially. It's tiers, because what these guys are worth. It's all subjective. But and same thing with the rookie draft. But everyone is given in a given year a first-round pick, a second-round pick, a third-round pick, and a fourth-round pick. What this means is that at the end of every NFL season and after the NFL draft, there's like I said, a rookie draft. So there's people that have their own rankings. It's all like all this shit is subjective. Like there's no like, oh, this guy is the best quarterback. Besides like Mahomes being the best quarterback and kind of Jefferson being the best. Like I guess right now it's like who's the best tight end? Is it Kelsey? Is it Pitts? Is it Andrews? Is it Hawkinson? It's all subjective. It's up to you. But that doesn't mean just because it's subjective to you, your value doesn't mean you like overreach on a guy where you could have traded down. But if you want to get your guy, trade up, go get your guy. But I wouldn't throw around these first-round picks unless you're being serious. I would only give my first-round pick up if I'm getting a proven asset that could help my team for the future, like a guy like I would add to something, get a Olave or Wilson. I'm just naming young wide receivers off the top of my head. But I wouldn't trade a first-round pick if I'm a rebuild for a guy like Rachaad White. Like it just wouldn't make sense to me because I don't see the long-term outlook. I would also trade my first if I'm going for a win-now team and I'm trying to push my chips in and I'm trying to trade for a guy like trade a guy for a guy like CMC or trade for Diggs. I'm just naming players off the top of my head. But anyway, so the rookie draft goes, like I said, it's the reverse order from 6 to 5 to 10, or I guess 5 to 12 for ours. It's going to be reverse of how you finish in the playoffs. So let's say you won the championship, you'll be last. If you lost in the championship, you'll be second to last. And then if you lost in a certain round, you'll be tied with someone, and whoever the better record regular season would have the lower pick. In our league, it's weird because everyone trades so much, so it's fine. It's not usually like this. But you need to have an idea of what you're doing. If you're going win now, build your team to win now. If you're going rebuild, build your team to rebuild. If you're going productive struggle, which is in the middle, get young guys that you can develop better, and then do whatever you want from there. Like I said, this shit is all subjective. You'll learn over time how to play this. There's bumps in the road, but like, don't feel free to ask people. Like, obviously, like we're all trying to have a really good team. And I mean, like, we're all trying to guess, like, fleece and, like, get the guys we want. But, like, if you're a guy that's newer and you're unsure, like, we'll give, like, if you ask me, like, I'll give an honest opinion. Like, it doesn't Like I could teach you, like I said, like I love this shit. So I have no problem like talking Dynasty. I talk this shit all the time. This goes to one of the websites, but this website is very far. This is called Keep Trade Cut. This is a Dynasty rankings database, and this is based on like, look, when I first popped it up, it actually about 3 guys, and it actually to rank them in order, and then it has data points, and it basically ranks them, and it shows like their rankings. But this, like I said, this is all subjective. Like this really favors young guys, and like it gives like veterans good value and stuff. So, and it shows like, okay, Bryce Young is worth the 23rd, but it shows where the picks are worth. So if you have an early pick, that's going to be Caleb Williams. It should even be higher than that, in my opinion. It's going to be Caleb Williams should be like up here, top 10 asset. If it's a Caleb Williams, if it's a Marvin Harrison, if it's a Drake May next year, they're going to be worth a lot. So if you know your team is shit, I would hold my pick. Or your team's like mid in the middle, but you have your pick. Trade away your guys. Trade away Keenan Allen for a second. Trade away Hopkins for an early second. Trade away McCaffrey for another early first and multiple first. So you can build a core and you could start to build it the way you like. There's honestly not that much left I have here. I talked about Dynasty Rookie Pick. There's websites like this, Fantasy Pros, Dynasty, but like I feel like when you play this so much, like you kind of have your own rankings. And like I said, this rankings in Sleeper, but it's flawed. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like there's guys, I'm not gonna be like tell you guys that are way too low because I'm gonna want them to draft. But there's guys that are way too low. There's guys that are overrated. All that shit. Then you'll find some gems. You can obviously queue players. Like I'm just like, and I'll show you. Oh, and then like kind of lastly, during the draft, all trades are gonna get pushed through right away. Don't get trade raped. But there's no vetoing in this league. That's fucking stupid. Like, unless the only way I veto something is that if there's obvious cheating, and if there's obvious cheating, I don't give a fuck who you are. Like, I don't care if you're John, my brother. Like, you're getting kicked out the league. Like, there's no reason to cheat in this league. It's not like redraft where you can build an OB team and easily win. Like, all the teams are pretty good. So, like, even if you have the best team possible and still lose. Like, what are you gonna like split a pot? Like, bro, if you're that broke, like, bro, go work. Like, don't cheat in the league. There's no point. Yeah, it's pretty much it. Like I said, like you could search. I would just search Dynasty Fantasy Football. Like, not even if you want to do a startup, you could just search rankings and tier rankings. Like, if you go quarterback tier rankings, obviously, like I said, all these are subjective, but you can look at a couple of these videos. And you can kind of build your own rankings. Be like, oh, I see his point. I see why he got this way. But yo, there's another thing. Last thing I forgot about this, or even put in the notes. Contracts. You got to realize that this isn't redraft, so contracts do matter. Like an Eckler being off his contract next year, or Dalvin Cook potentially getting cut this year because of his contract, and that would make you want to buy Alexander Madison a year earlier, so you can get ahead of the curve. Like Madison was going for a third, now he's going for like an early second, and then if he becomes a starter, he's gonna be worth a lot more. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, obviously text me, call me, whatever. Draft's Thursday, so get ready, guys.